Congratulations, Phi Kappa Phi inductees, and welcome. My name is Jason Lambert. I'm an associate professor in the College of Business at Texas Women's University. I also serve as chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council here, the Chancellor's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council here at TWU. And I'm honored to be chosen as your keynote speaker. I'm also honored because today I will also be inducted into Phi Kappa Phi this year alongside you. And like most of these types of occasions, the speaker is asked to share some words of wisdom and to give a speech, but also disperse it with some corny jokes here and there. And actually, I think that's a mandatory requirement. Insert corny joke one. That's the first one. But ultimately, the goal is to share with you these words of wisdom, some words of encouragement. Because Phi Kappa Phi supports and promotes lifelong learning, I wish to discuss the human condition with you that I believe our society needs more of and can best be achieved through lifelong learning. I'm talking about the human condition of empathy. Now, empathy is a word that we've heard a lot recently these days. It's been thrown around a lot. It's a buzzword of the day right now. And I'm afraid that at least my fear is that it's used a lot by many people without its full context, or the understanding of the context is not also fully explained. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that today, have a conversation with you. But before I dive into that, I first want to share with you a fable that you might already know that discusses empathy in a way. I'm sure you've heard this saying, or at least there was a time when most people were familiar with the saying of to do unto others, that you would have them do unto you. Or also, as Mama would say, make sure you treat others how they want to be treated, right? And as a matter of fact, there are many stories and fables that have been passed down over the years to teach this rule of empathy, and also sometimes known as the golden rule. So the fable goes like this. There was a valley with a huge river that ran through it. And every now and then when it rained very hard, the river would flood. Now, there also lived a monkey in this valley, and everyone knew this monkey because this monkey was so friendly, always went above and beyond to help others. And the monkey always made sure that the animals were safe. So one day when it was storming, the river in the valley began to flood. Those who could run ran out of the valley. Those who could fly, they flew out of the valley. Those who could climb, like the monkey, they climbed up out of the valley, climbed out of the valley into the trees. Now, as the river level rose, the monkey peered into the water below and noticed a fish, a mighty fish that was struggling to swim in the strong current. And so the fish many times almost got washed away. Feeling compassion for the fish, the monkey reached down and scooped the fish from the water and placed it safely on a tree limb near the top of the tree. As you can imagine what happened next, to the monkey's dismay, that was the end of the fish. So what do we learn from this fable? Well, we see in this fable that the monkey felt sympathy, but that is not the same thing as empathy. This fable exemplifies how the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated can sometimes backfire. But there's a better rule. There's another rule that I want to share with you today, and that's known as the platinum rule. And so instead of treating others how you want to be treated, the platinum rule states that we must treat others how they want to be treated. You see, knowing and respecting how others want to be treated is really the key element of empathy, especially in terms of understanding race and social justice issues. So how do we truly develop empathy? Well, Mary Frances Winters, a noted author in the diversity literature, would say that we achieve empathy through cultural competency. And this includes 3 E's that we must travel through, and that's exposure, experience, and education. Exposure, though, is the first step, but it's only a first step. So, for example, maybe you watched a documentary on television about a culture in a distant land, or maybe you visited an African American heritage festival. Those are great steps on your journey towards empathy, but those are just steps towards your journey. That's not enough to really build empathy for others who might belong to a different identity group or culture from you. But the great thing is that the more we expose ourselves to others, the more comfortable we feel building relationships. We're equipped with the ability to better understand others so that our interactions will feel less awkward. But again, it's only a first step, exposure. But it can lead us to the second E, which is experience. So experience takes things a little bit further when you immerse yourself in the experience of others. Right now, I want you to ask yourself, how many people do you know who belong to a different race, or religion, fill in the blank, who would take you to the airport as a favor? Yeah, I know about rideshare apps, but you get the point. FYI, insert corny joke number 2. But back to what I was saying, that level of connection, someone taking you to the airport, only occurs when you have shared experiences with those individuals, shared experiences with other people. But those experiences will never happen if you don't first expose yourself to others, which is why that's the first step. Expose yourself to others in cultures that differ from yours in the first place. And to truly understand and connect with others, we need to then be informed about their experience as well. Then we have education. Education is the third E. It's necessary because not only must we expose ourselves to others, not only do we need to be informed about their experiences, but we have to understand the implication of their experience. And it is not always their job to educate us, especially when it may be common knowledge. For example, there's so much research out here right now about research evidence about differential treatment in the workplace experienced by women, employees of color, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ community. There's so many videos where we see unarmed Black men killed by police. There's so many videos and where we see, white men who are armed negotiated with. And so there's a disparity there. In 2020, approximately 17% of hate crimes in the United States were based on sexual orientation. And the kicker is all of this information is just as readily available as any viral TikTok dance stream or any housewives of this city that we can find on TV. So we can't pretend, we can no longer pretend that we don't know when we live in this age of instant information gratification technology at our fingertips. Yes, fingertips. Yes, I made that phrase up. Instant information gratification technology, but you get the point. And of course, insert corny joke number 3. But in closing, we need to travel the 3 E's before we can really experience empathy. Because how can I have empathy for someone if I don't know them? That's quoted by Mary Frances Winters. The monkey in the fable that I shared with you earlier, the monkey really believed that he was helping, but he didn't know the fish. He didn't understand the fish. And so sometimes we can do more harm than good if we don't really fully understand those around us. We don't travel through those E's of exposure, experience, and education. So I challenge you to travel your 3 E's. If you're a Christian, visit a mosque or synagogue, or vice versa. If you're white, visit a Hispanic or African American heritage festival. If you're a city boy like me from Chicago, try on some boots and add some country music to your playlist. That wasn't a joke. But in other words, continually strive to find common ground so that humanity may reach higher ground together. I want to thank you for listening. And once again, Phi Kappa Phi inductees, congratulations. You deserve it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Have a great day. Peace out from Dr. J.